just a lot more grateful now. It's just an unbelievable whole scenario.
We are marking 5 years since the first reported case of COVID in Erie County. Not too far behind, Niagara County reported theirs. And this man here, Michael O'Connor, was one of the first people we interviewed 5 years ago who successfully came off a ventilator after fighting COVID. He then donated his plasma to help others fighting that disease that took more than 3,000 lives in Erie and Niagara counties. We're joined now by Mike to see how he's doing, along with Tracy Chalmers from the Niagara County Department of Health.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Mike, we're going to start with you because, you're sitting here and we're showing some pretty difficult to see images. Why don't we go before that? Walk us through what happened when you were either diagnosed or you started to feel ill. Tell us what happened.
Absolutely. So I started feeling sick on Sunday morning, and I went back to the bedroom, and I laid down for a couple of hours, and I just got worse and worse. They started checking my temperature, and I had a fever. It got worse. It started to hit 104, and eventually my doctor got a COVID test. The COVID testing, somehow they were difficult to get.
Yep, they were.
Was able to get one based on my symptoms. It came back positive, and he instructed me to go to the hospital.
What was that instruction like? Because at the time, we all remember those early days, there was so much fear, especially around the hospital. Those were the epicenters of all the sickness and unfortunately all the death and everything else. What was that call like for you?
Yeah, so I didn't want to go. I was scared to go. The numbers were coming bad, everything. All the news was terrible about COVID. We didn't know anything. My doctor convinced me this is the best thing to do. And I went. So I went to Kenmore Mercy. They took their precautions, and within a couple hours, I was transported to St. Joe's, where they were taking all the COVID patients.
Wow. You spent 25 days on a ventilator. I interviewed you 5 years ago with your wife and your family. You said it felt like a nap. Your wife said it felt like a nightmare for her. You came off that ventilator. How did you feel afterward? And what was the lease on life, that new lease on life that you had and maybe continue to have today?
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. When I got the ventilator put on me, I didn't think I was going to make it. And when I woke up, and when I finally realized that I had, it was shocking. Just like, wow, it was like a whole new world.
Wow.
Tracy,
a new lease on life that you maybe have too. And you look good today too.
Thanks. Yeah, this illness, it forced me to take a better look at my health.
Sure.
They tell you to eat healthy and exercise, but you got to do it. And once I started doing that, things got a little bit better. I think maybe my poor outcomes with COVID were attributed to such poor health.
Well, we are glad you are here today, Mike. We really, really are. And Tracy, over to you. When you hear stories like that Mike just told all of us, what does that do for you? And this is an honest question. Does it bring you back? Is it almost PTSD inducing? Because that was a fearful time for everybody.
Yeah, it was a crazy time for local health, for state health, for all the public health agencies, and we just didn't know day to day what it was going to look like. We knew it was coming. We were prepared, but again, we weren't exactly sure when we would get our first case, either in Erie or Niagara or anywhere in Western New York. And then once you had that first case, we were so consumed with, what kind of information do we want to share with the public, what's important, what's too private, really balancing the public's need to know and to take precautionary actions and balancing the privacy of people like Mike who were personally affected and their families. So, that was a very difficult thing to navigate through local health. And as you recall, that first year, it was really a lot of unknown, testing and closures and masking and schools shutting down and businesses shutting down and isolation and quarantine and all of those things until the vaccine became available. Now we shifted very quickly over to that vaccination effort.
What has changed in the county health department since this 5 years ago? It felt like everybody was really taken off guard by this. What have you guys implemented since that maybe is going to help in the future?
I think it really gave us an opportunity within local health to fine-tune our plans. I mean, we had plans before for situations like this, but really just making sure that we're communicating with partners, that we're leveraging those relationships that we have, that we are following obviously what's going on worldwide to make sure that we're prepared for the next circumstance like this. Vaccine preventable diseases are certainly on the rise, as we've seen, and just making sure that we are communicating effectively and consistently with our partners and with the public.
Based on what we've gone through, and we are running short on time, but based on what we've gone through, do you think that we as a community, particularly at the community health level, do you think we're better prepared for the next thing that comes down the pipe? And we don't know what that thing will be, whether it be a full pandemic or what, but do you think we're at least better prepared than we were in 2019?
I would hope that there's some muscle memory from our community, and when we start saying things like it's time to start staying home, it's time to start staying away from people who are vulnerable and at higher risk, or maybe we need to think about putting on a mask, that the public will remember those things and be able to adapt a little more quickly.
Quickly, Mike, any long COVID impacts that you've had, or you're feeling good?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's about 2 years, and I've been discharged from all the following doctors at this
Wow.
point, yeah.
That's
Good
great.
for you.
That's great.
It's an amazing story.
It is. It is. We're so glad you're here. I'm sure your family is very glad you're here. It is such a rarity that someone can be intubated for that long and come out on the other side and be better for it. So thank you for being here, and thanks for still being alive with us and hanging out with us for a while.
I'm blessed. Thanks for having me.
Mike, Tracy, thank you.
Thank you.